Why don't you travel with your birth certificate?
I haven't needed to.
Why not?
What reason?
I don't know many people that carry it.
I asked my mom to send me my birth certificate. She sent me my sister's.
I stopped you because I suspected that you were an illegal immigrant. What would your reaction be?
No, that's not okay.
And wouldn't that be the same thing as someone being stopped and asked if
I
they're Mexican?
don't know. I don't know.
It's a card that says that I'm a U.S. citizen.
But you don't have that, do you?
No, I don't care.
No, you don't carry one. Why not?
I've lived here my whole life. I don't know.
Aren't you afraid that you'll be deported to Canada, to the motherland? but you don't bring your birth certificate with you.
No, I don't want somebody to get that birth certificate.
But aren't you afraid of being deported?
Nope.
Why not?
Because I'm probably constantly.
How would you react if when they stopped you, they demanded to see your birth certificate?
Somebody might be a hit.
Peace, world majority brothers and sisters. This is The Icebreaker. A recent cover story by the Phoenix New Times puts efforts like SB 1070, the attack on the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, and attempting to charge migrant students for public education by those like Russell Pierce and others in perspective. Although not the first to do so, Terry Green Sterling has pointed out that the nativist Keep America White and Right crew is ideologically tied to the nonprofit FAIR, the Federation for American Immigration Reform. The function of FAIR is a relatively old one, racist R&D, racist research and development. All of its output deals with the supposed burden that the migratory community is on the U.S. economy and overall social scene. Quote, FAIR and its sister nonprofits, Numbers USA, which also lobbied successfully to squash immigration reform in 2007, and the Center for Immigration Studies, which refers to itself as a nonpartisan pro-immigrant think tank, cite each other's reports and studies and post each other's findings on their websites. Reporters often quote experts from the three groups as credible mainstream voices of dissent to progressive immigration reform, even though several human rights organizations have flagged FAIR as a white nationalist hate group, and have tied Numbers USA and CIS to white nationalist and hate groups. Unquote. The article continues to say that FAIR has used Arizona as a sort of guinea pig for laws such as 2004's Prop 200, the human smuggling law, the employer sanctions law, SB 1070, and the birthright citizenship law.
Most frighteningly, the Tanton Network's efforts have been widely successful. In the last 5 years alone, nearly 400 pieces of anti-immigrant legislation have been introduced in 38 states. The majority of them were drafted by the Tanton Network. They have created a climate of hate, where acts of violence and aggression are endorsed. The militaristic immigration sweeps in Arizona in 2009. The killing of 9-year-old Presenia Flores and her father by Shauna Ford, a national leader of the Minutemen movement and alleged spokeswoman for the FAIR Foundation.
911, where's emergency? Somebody just came in and shot my daughter and my husband.
But can any of you tell me out of the 100,000 illegal immigrants, which one of them were a terrorist? Anybody?
Like clockwork, FAIR releases its misnamed studies to the media as soon as one of these laws are announced, and each study is undoubtedly in favor of passing whatever law is not in favor of the migrant community. For example, the ink from Jan Brewer's pen hadn't even dried on the paper version of SB 1070 yet when FAIR sent its then new report on the deleterious effects of illegal immigration in Arizona to Fox News.
Well, Arizona taxpayers have shelled out billions to cover the costs of illegal immigration in their state, and they are not happy about it. In a FoxNews.com exclusive, a study that comes from the same group that helped to write that controversial immigration law, we should point out, this according to the Federation of American Immigration Reform. That group is known as FAIR.
This week, the phrase that pays was DREAM Act. On Wednesday, the House voted in favor of the act by a margin of 216 versus 198. Over 30 Democrats in the House voted an active no towards it, and several others abstained from voting. Notably, many of these Democrats hail from Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Michigan, and other states who are pursuing SB 1070-like measures. While I could go off on my usual Decepticrat tirade, I think the majority of us have gotten the point by now. As Stephen Lemons has reported, quote, the latest version of the Development Relief and Education for Alien Minors Act is the most restrictive yet. To qualify, DREAM beneficiaries must have been in the country for 5 years preceding the law's enactment and have to have been younger than 16 when brought into the U.S. Anyone older than 29 after the bill becomes law will not be eligible. Dreamers will have to submit to background checks and health screenings, give their biometrics to the Department of Homeland Security, and register for selective service. Their conditional status lasts for 10 years, and there's 3 years on top of that as a legal permanent residence before they can apply for naturalization. Regardless of these restrictions, however, some still are objecting to the bill, calling it amnesty. Even some that we would assume to be supporters of the initiative, such as the American Legion. You know, the United States' largest veteran service organization. Jimmy L. Foster, the national commander of the American Legion, called on the U.S. Senate to stop the so-called DREAM Act, saying, "Some people mistakenly believe that the DREAM Act would encourage military service and the pursuit of college education. Instead, it rewards illegal behavior. It says to those who are trying to legally enter our country, disregard the law and you will ultimately be rewarded. It might be called the DREAM Act, but it's really an amnesty nightmare." The United States has dwindling financial resources, as those in the veterans and military communities are frequently reminded. Why would we want to spend those limited resources on educating people who have no legal right to be in this country? Aha! Very illuminating comment about dwindling financial resources, veterans treatment, and how this impacts people's decisions. Supposedly the migratory community is a drain on spending, right? They cost the public so much taxes. Well, first of all, they pay taxes like everyone else. And secondly, who are the real leeches of tax revenue? The war machine, maybe? With the United States having an unprecedented 1,000 military bases around the world and being actively involved in armed conflicts in Iraq, Afghanistan, Yemen, and Pakistan, and providing either arms, technology, or money for various other proxy wars, we must keep in mind that the military budget, i.e. the military-industrial complex, which comes from public dollars and could readily deal with public problems, is putting the true burden on the U.S. economy. Surely, a United States at peace could really solve some concrete political issues here, as well as give veterans the funding that they've been deserving ever since they've been the lowest on the funding totem pole. Also, what about those tax cuts for the wealthy that the Republicans engineered and Obama defended and extended? Social Security being cut, the bailout of the banks to the tune of trillions of dollars with, that's right, again, taxpayer money. It is 100% wrong for the migratory community to even be caught up in this debate about economic burdens on the country when the empire and the empire's bullets and banks are truly the ones at fault. But unsurprisingly, the political game, as usual, works by distracting folks from the real issue. Peace, y'all. The struggle is indeed won.